I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good help. That was the best we've ever.
That was great. Mr. Workman, would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
And I'm here.
Thank you. All right. We will move on to the approval of the February 10th regular meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Were there any corrections or additions? Okay, hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to accommodations and communications.
Okay.
I will turn it over to Mr. Peter.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. We've modified our schedule just a little bit. We've got two really special groups we want to hear from tonight. First is our friends from Wiggin Street, and I know you've got a great program to share. And then we're going to get a chance maybe to share two state champions. And so they're here tonight too. We're going to take a little bit of a break right after they're done. We've got some cupcakes and cookies and a little drink over in the wrestling room. You're welcome to come back and stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you want to go home, I get it. So with that being said, Christy, do you want to come up? And I'm going to let you take the mouse and you go to it.
All right. Thank you very much. I always have to decide whether the glasses help or not.
Go ahead and hit the slideshow up there, right? Okay.
All right, so first of all, thank you so much for having us tonight. I have some exciting things to show you. As you can see, we have some kids joining us today, so I can't wait to have them share. But tonight we're going to also share about all the collaborations that we have with Kenyon College. We are so lucky to be adjacent to Kenyon College, and so we get a lot of opportunities that are very meaningful for our students. So first, we're going to highlight a visit our fifth grade made. So some of the collaboration types that we have are content collaborations with curriculum, the volunteering and hosting with Wiggin Street events, and then we also have field trips. And so starting with those content area collaborations, our fifth grade students were invited. Professors Les and Maddie Wade are with us. And they invited our fifth grade students, and you can see that there were Kenyon students also there, to work with them to teach them more about sound waves. And so they got to visit Hayes Hall in Kenyon. So if I could have Mrs. Croswell and the kids come up.
So before we start a unit, one of the things that I've learned at the National Science Teachers Conference is about doing science probes. Paige Keeley has created science probes that help uncover students' misunderstandings, because a lot of times we have a lot of misunderstandings about science. And so the kids thought it would be fun. They want you guys to do the science probe really quickly. It's not hard, you'll see. They all know, do you guys get a grade on science probes?
Yeah.
No, you have to think, right? And this is a way for me to peek inside their brain. So all the objects listed below make sound. But I want you to put an X next to the objects that you think involve vibrations when they make sounds. Or guitar strings, a drum, a dripping faucet, a barking dog, a piano, screeching brakes, radio speaker. I'll let you guys read ahead on your own. The kids are like, it says drum twice. Yes, it does, it does. Yeah, a popped balloon, a chirping cricket, a hammer. Here, you want to do one? Which ones involve vibrations?
I have to Google this.
Where's our AI?
Don't look.
This teacher loves
Look at me.
I don't know. Okay, so you guys come on up. So do you guys want to tell them what the answer is to making sound? Come on up. So let's have our boom whacker gals, you guys can be over here. And then our slinky group right here. And let me have my gentleman over here, okay? So what are some of the things that you marked on your list? What are some things that you think make vibrations when they make sound?
Guitar strings.
Guitar strings, because you can see it, right? Right? What else?
Drum.
A drum, you can see that.
Piano.
What about rustling leaves? What about whistling wind? Any of that? What are some things you didn't mark?
A hammer.
A hammer.
Yeah.
What about this? Is that a vibration? All right. Tell them what's going on, boys. Go ahead.
So you may think sound and vibration are separate things. You can see vibration and you can hear sound, but really they are the exact same things.
So tell them what's happening with that
So
tuning.
I'm not like swinging at it, but the vibration from the tuning fork, bouncing it back.
Try again, great.
There you go.
Hit it on the carpet. There you go. He's not moving, right? But the ping pong ball is. So what is sound, you guys? What is sound?
Vibration.
And what's the correct answer on this probe?
Everything.
If it makes a sound, you are just basically perceiving air being compressed into your ear, and it's moving your eardrums. Go ahead, boys. Show them some other.
Magic trick where you can
Come out here where
vibrate air
they can
balls.
see you, sweetie. Okay.
I would
Go in the middle where they can see what you're doing. You guys are so funny. They're not shy at school. Of course not. Just saying. And then do you guys want to do water? Because the carpet will soak it up. It's fine. This is the one they had the most fun with. We had water everywhere.
That's not an accident, Lee.
All right, so after when they were at the Kenyon lab, some of the great things that they were able to see, because one of the things about science is when you see it, then you believe it, was they had a speaker, and the speaker, the Kenyon students put a ping pong ball on it, and when they turned the volume up, what happened to the ping pong ball? It went,
Crazy.
yeah, it went a lot faster, didn't it? Okay, ladies, would you want to talk about sound waves and how they move? Oh, sorry, Kinsey. Sorry. My bad.
Hi. Maddie and Ruth are going to be demonstrating a transverse wave, which is basically just back and forth. If I were to make a very, very tall wave, it would make a much, much louder sound than if I were to make a very short wave. Then it would make a much, much softer sound. Also, if I were to make a very, very, very fast frequency of a wave, then it would make a very high pitch. But if I were to make a very slow frequency of a wave, then it would make a very low pitch.
Maddie, what else can you tell them about a better model of sound waves?
So a longitudinal wave is a better model because sound is vibration, and the vibration of some air molecules when they get pressed together. When you see, as Amanda pushes, the slinky compresses together, that's just like the air molecules that compress together, and that makes a sound wave. Also, you can see it bouncing off the side and coming back, that's like an echo. That's all.
You guys are awesome. All right, and then the girls are going to share about pitch. Girls, face this way because look. People are here. Here we are. There you go.
So the taller that the boom whacker is, the lower the pitch is.
It's because when air molecules, it takes more space to travel.
The smaller the boom whacker, the higher the pitch.
Because the air molecules have less room space, it will make a higher pitch.
And so when it has more space, how does the sound wave move?
It'll go lower.
Slower, and when it has less space, the sound wave, yeah, it moves faster, yeah. Thank you, girls, good job. So we're just so grateful because going to the sound lab made all the difference for deepening their understanding, because when you can see it and you can experience it, they got to see a real oscilloscope instead of a picture of an oscilloscope in a book, and that, and they played these whistles. What were some of them? Oh, the Doppler effect, that was one of my favorites, because, okay, everybody, what does it sound like when a race car goes by you? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Meow. Right? And so they learned about how when sound is compressed, when that ambulance comes towards you, not only is it getting louder because it's closer to you, but the pitch is raising because all that air is being compressed in front of it. We played around and watched some videos about sonic booms, and they loved that, about going faster than sound. So thank you both so much, and thank you all the parents who brought their kids tonight, and you guys worked really hard to make this a good demonstration for the board and for Mr. Seeger. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's one awesome example of them also in the physics lab. They're sleepy. And so we've had other opportunities. The dance department, they tend to get with us every year. There's a directed teaching course, and so the Kenyon students are learning to teach dance. They also go to some nursing homes and things, but there was one opportunity where kindergarten and third grade students, they learned about the life cycle of bees, and then they took a field trip to a nearby farm in Gambier to view an apiary. They learned also about excerpts of the dance. I'm going to have Mrs. Croswell say it. Misa Rivas, is that correct? The dance that you did?
That we did? Oh, that was so much.
I hope I said that correctly. I might have tortured it.
I just did.
Can you show us?
I didn't know it had a name.
Yeah.
The kids, it was about the experiences of
refugees and
Holocaust survivors
Survivors.
after World War II.
Yeah.
And they choreographed and created the dance that we all performed together at the
They did
Memorial
that at the
Theater.
Memorial Theater. That was Mrs. Croswell and some of the third and fifth graders. And then the Dust and Ice, the Antarctic field trip. This is something Bonnie Schutte with the BFEC has set up, and so kids across the district have been able to go on this field trip, and she wrote a grant, and with that grant it pays for busing, so kids in all of the district have
And
been
that
able to
was
enjoy that. It was
absolutely
phenomenal.
fascinating. The work they do at the BFEC and what the kids learned. What were some of the things that you guys learned at the BFEC about erosion? How did you guys demonstrate erosion?
With a straw.
That was what? With the straw you did that wind erosion. But what when you guys were shaking those rocks in those cups? Yeah, they were making rocks and getting dust and finding out how rocks bang together and get dust. And then this whole connection at the Chalmers Library was, and they had tardigrades, right, and rotifers. But that was, there's a professor, and I cannot remember her name.
Probably Ruth Pinebell.
Yes, and she has spent time in Antarctica, and they were looking at all of the ecosystems that are in Antarctica, which you'd think, oh, it's just a bunch of ice, there's nothing there. Oh, absolutely not. That was
They had
fascinating.
the opportunity to go to BFEC, to the Chalmers Library in Kenyon, and we're done for that. We've had computer science collaboration. This was really cool. This has been, I think, last year or a couple years. Kenyon students and our fifth grade students brainstormed ideas for a learning game. And then the Kenyon students developed the games through coding, and then our students gave them feedback on their prototypes. And through that process, they learned about software development. So that was, and one of our alumni were one of the Kenyon students that were helping with that. The Gund Gallery paper flower making project, this was done at the annex. And so we had 3rd through 5th grade students that were selected, with not the whole grade level. They traveled to the annex for time to make paper flowers, and then they collaborated with our students and Mrs. Biggerstaff, and the kids were able to have their paper making projects displayed. Say it again. But through all of these experiences, it's building their schema, it's building their background knowledge. It helps with, any type of testing that they may have to do because they have all of these experiences to grasp from. Also, they volunteer time and space. Of course, Ross Hall, we have our holiday winter program at, and then also our spring kindergarten through 2nd grade musicals that Mrs. Springer puts on. So we just are so grateful for that space because it makes it nice for our community to be able to gather in the Kenyon setting in Gambier. And also it's free to us, so it's great. Kenyon volunteers, and we have work study students. So every fall we set up a table at the Kenyon Involvement Fair, and students sign up to volunteer at Wiggin Street. We had 150 students in the fall and 162 students in the spring that volunteer each week. We also are grateful that we get to hire 3 Kenyon Federal Work Study students that get paid. So they work we have 3 students that work about 4 hours a week in our school. We also have the partnership between us and Capital University and Kenyon College. And so students take the content classes at Kenyon and then the education licensure classes through Capital, and they do their field experience at Wiggin Street. And students end up with a degree from Kenyon and an Ohio teaching license. We have our PBIS kickoff days, and that has for many years now involved Kenyon athletes. The first year we had football players, and the girls let us know really quick that we needed female athletes. So we have had everyone. I mean, we've had tennis, we've had soccer, we've had golf. I mean, anybody that's available, and they also play on the playground with them in the morning. So that has been wonderful. They also have come in for different mathathon awards, and they get to choose sometimes athletic groups that they want to learn from, such as volleyball, tennis, and soccer to learn to play. We've also had MVNU students, the basketball team, come also for some of that. We've had chess club for many years, and so we have about 5 volunteers that usually sign up to teach and play chess with our interested 3rd through 5th grade students during lunch recess once a week. It's interesting to see some of the students that really shine playing chess, and maybe they struggle in other ways, but you're like, oh, this is their thing. They can really problem solve and think through it. Kenyon players, they were recently here for our readathon, and they performed the picture book Duffel Bunny by Mo Willems, and that was fun. The woman that's right here in the white, she was the washing machine, so she was super cute. And then of course field trips, some field trips to the BFEC, because they offer them in the fall, winter, and spring. We used to walk there from where we were at, but since transportation's been included, sometimes we do take the bus now. And the Kenyon Farm, we had the American Studies class, theory and practice of urban education, where they were learning, the Kenyon students were learning non-traditional teaching and experiential learning methods. So they taught our 5th grade students lessons based on sustainability, indigenous practices, livestock, and agriculture. And then part of our readathon did involve a reward where they went to the Chalmers Library. So we had a large group of K2 and 3-5 students that they had activities set up for them and they got to experience the library. And then I just add these in. I don't have a lot of pictures of them, but we do have the Kenyon OLAW tutors. They provide tutoring sessions held for ELL students at the Wright Center outside of the school day, and I know that we do have some students right now that attend that. The Theta, did I say that right? Delta Phi sorority makes Valentines for our students, and they provide goodies for them on Valentine's Day. The Kenyon Review, they offer free creative writing workshops for students in collaborations with Paragraphs. And Kenyon volunteers help with our Spring Fun Festival by manning the games. And we've had Spanish Club volunteers in the past. And that's something I look to try to do again in the future. So just some examples. We have a lot of opportunities for our kids. And I think that, you know, with everything that we're looking at for in the future, we might be able to impact even more students in our district with that. So just wanted to share those collaborations with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for our Gambier group?
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to the kids.
Yes.
They did a great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. All right, well, I'm so glad we got some students here. Students, can you come up and maybe just sit right here in front, moms and dads? I want these guys over here for now. Yeah. Yeah, just sit right in here, because I want to introduce you to some folks, and I want you guys to be thinking about. All right, so again, I told you that we were doing things just a tad bit different. We got to hear some of the great stuff you guys are doing, but I also want to share some great stuff that's happening. You see these two right here? They are state champions. That means they're the best in all of I'm going to show you a quick little video. I've asked them a question because I think you'll want to know, well, what does it take to be a state champion, whether it's in music or it's in art or it's in athletics? And they might have a recipe that might help you to achieve that. But let's take a look at this real quick.
I want to see your hands.
All right, Alex, could I have you and Ash come out here just in front of the kiddos here? So, did you see the determination? Did you see Ash? Look, she's so innocent. And like, that girl looked at her and was like, oh boy, I don't know about this, but state champion. If it was easy, everybody'd do it. It takes a lot to be a state champion. Alex, if I had to ask you, if you gave them advice on being just their very best, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, well, one word really comes to mind, that'd be determination. Getting in there every day, wrestling, if it's other things such as like he was saying, music or videos, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, you can achieve it as long as you keep working hard and have a lot of determination, giving it your all every day. That's what helped me get to where I was.
How about you, Ash?
I think hard work. I think a lot of wrestling and anything you do is having hard work and keep going, even if you dislike it in the moment. It's worth in the end. Went to club a lot, did a lot of extra to get where I was.
Hard work is something that is really, really important, because if they didn't work hard, they would just be about like everybody else, but they put in a lot of time. So I do have a board resolution tonight, all right? So this is resolution number 2625, all right? Whereas the Mount Vernon City School Board of Education takes great pride in recognizing the outstanding achievements of its student athletes, and whereas Ashlyn Brokaw and Alex Taylor have demonstrated exceptional dedication, skill, and perseverance in the sport of wrestling, culminating in their remarkable accomplishments at the Ohio High School Athletic Association State Wrestling Championship. Whereas Ashlyn and Alex's success is a testament to their hard work, sportsmanship, and unwavering support of their coaches, teammates, and families. And whereas the Mount Vernon Wrestling Program has been strengthened by the leadership and dedication of the coaching staff, including head coaches Corey Fireball and Jay DiPolo, and assistant coaches Matt Leibarger and Bob Kennedy, whose commitment to developing student athletes both on and off the mat have been instrumental in the team's success. And whereas, in addition to Ashlyn and Alex Taylor's state titles, the Mount Vernon wrestling team had several outstanding performances at the state level, including Jake Taylor, who took 6th place at 165 pounds, and 3 state qualifiers, Caleb Snyder at 106, Maverick Gregory at 157, and Luke Mullins at 190. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Vernon City Schools Board of Education does hereby commend and congratulate Ashlyn Brokaw and Alex Taylor on their OHSAA State Wrestling Championship, and extends its recognition to all state placers, state qualifiers, and the dedicated coaching staff for their hard work, determination, and success in representing Mount Vernon at the highest level of competition. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into official minutes of the Board of Education, and that copies provided to Ashlyn and Alex, their coaches, and their families in recognition of this outstanding achievement, adopted this 17th day of March, 2025. We also have that resolution in a folder for each, and each one of them will get a certificate of recognition for all that they've brought to Mount Vernon and our programs here. So this one goes to Ashlyn. So there you go. This one goes to Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Most of them you want to say it. You don't have to, but these are pretty special folks. And by the way, they're not seniors.
I know.
Isn't that awesome?
I'll speak on them. These two are such great leaders, represent our program to the highest level, not only just on the wrestling mat, but in the classroom. They're good student athletes, and no one works harder than them in the classroom or on the wrestling mat. And one other thing just to mention, when we were at the state tournament, we could feel the community back here pushing us forward. We never had a state champion in wrestling, boy or girl, until this year. So we went from 0 to 2, which was pretty awesome. But we could really feel the love and the support from Mount Vernon while we were down there, and lots of stuff on social media, and the positivity from the community, I think, was just outstanding. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, I mean, reiterate exactly what Coach Fireball said. The support from the community for these guys has just been incredible, and it's greatly appreciated. It's been nonstop.
If you go down to that state tournament, you saw pictures at the end, they will fill it with close to 20,000 people. One of the fastest growing girls sports is girls wrestling. And so there's a place for everyone here, and we want to try to provide those opportunities. So again, thank you for representing us so well. We're going to take a short little break and walk across the hall to the wrestling room. There's some water, some cupcakes, and some cookies. And if you want to rub elbows or maybe try to take Alex down as a big group, you can do that. So we'll take about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and resume our meeting.
Send that to me.
You're the best one. It's fun. So.
It goes good.
You know, minor details.
Trade me.
I couldn't tell from that. Not me.
Did you like how
I did.
Good job. All right, we will now reconvene and move on to reports and public participation. Andrew is not here. April, oopsie. Public participation, we do have one. Andrea?
Hi. I just sent my comments to myself as a. I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Andrea White. I have 2 children in the district, an 8th grader and a junior. And I'm here tonight to ask you to strongly consider creating a middle school swim team. Right now, our high school swim team is very inclusive. They take students who don't know how to swim and train them to be competitive by the end of their first season. But without a feeder team, any pipeline we have is pretty much done. The YMC swim team, which once helped develop young swimmers, was disbanded well over a decade ago. And the last of those swimmers, my son, will graduate next year. My daughter never had the chance to be on a swim team, but she loves to compete. She's on her 2nd week of track practice, first time ever, and she has discovered she has an inner desire to compete.
Good.
That's awesome. So if we want our high school swim team, swim program to continue thriving, we need to provide middle schoolers with a way to develop their skills before they reach high school. Our high school swim team has also sent divers to the state championship for the past 2 years. And if that success is to continue, we need a feeder team at the middle school level. Diving and swimming both require early skill development, just like any other sport. And without opportunities to train in middle school, we risk losing the competitive edge our team has built. A middle school swim team would also fill an important gap in our athletic offerings. In the fall, students who don't have prior team experience can join golf or cross country, both individual sports. In the spring, they have track, as my daughter has discovered. But in the winter, there are no athletic options for middle schoolers who weren't already involved in team sports during their elementary school years. Basketball, soccer, and baseball all require early participation to be competitive, leaving many students without a way to stay active during the winter months. A swim team could be that option, a sport where students can start from scratch, develop their skill, and become competitive by high school. Like golf, swimming is an individual sport that relies on existing facilities in the county. Both are lifelong sports that can be enjoyed well beyond school and competitive athletics. My 93-year-old uncle still swims a mile every week, and my parents, both in their 80s, play golf regularly. These are sports that don't just serve students for a few seasons, they can benefit them for a lifetime. Beyond athletics, a swim team would also contribute to students' mental health. We know that rates of depression rise considerably in adolescents, particularly in girls, and that girls' participation in athletics and exercise plummets at the start of adolescence. This is especially concerning in our district, where middle schoolers have far less access to PE than elementary students. And that's a scheduling thing, right? And it's also it's minimally required by the state. Exercise and socialization are key factors in mental health, and the swim team would provide both. It would give students an opportunity to stay active, build confidence, and connect with teammates in a supportive environment. By adding a middle school swim team, we can strengthen our high school program, support continued success of our divers, and give students a lifelong skill and provide much needed winter sport for those who don't have prior team experience. And I really urge you to consider this opportunity for our students. Thank you.
I think that's something I could double check with Justin. I'd be interested to know if any of our Licking County League schools have middle school swim.
Interesting.
That would be a good place to start. Do they have, a lot of times when we start sports, we start them as a club for the first year and then we move into something different. I think maybe one of our challenges, I'd have to do some double checking with Justin, is just availability of pool time.
Even just one lane. I know that probably high schoolers and middle schoolers can't be in the same lane because of requirements from the state athletics. But even if they had one lane during that practice time and a coach or half of a coach to say what to do.
And I think we used to have a middle school swim team because my girls swam.
It was through the Y
It was
though.
the
I
Y.
don't think the school
But
ever
they
had
used to swim
one.
at Canyon
Yeah.
mostly.
Yes.
That's why I was thinking it was related to the middle school.
It's certainly something we can take a look at.
It's so long ago, I don't remember.
I'll check with Justin and we'll get back to you. Thank you. I have a number of additions and deletions in tonight's agenda. We have an ag science student overnight trip that we've added. We've also added another substitute teacher. We are deleting for right now an extracurricular contract. It's for summer school work and especially working with our students online. I need to know a little bit more about how that's all going to navigate. I would suspect we'd bring something back in April on that, but I just wasn't real clear on how we were going to organize that as of today. And we have one retirement to share that we're adding to the agenda. So 3 additions and 1 deletion.
Thank you very much.
Under district update, I do have a number of things I wouldn't mind sharing. It's been a really, really busy couple of weeks. I was looking for something springy, just to be my cover there. But I do want to just take a moment and offer our condolences and prayers to the family of John Graham. He was a special teacher who made a difference in the lives of students he served. And John fought cancer for 10 years. And I know when I first talked with John, you know, the prognosis was not even close to being maybe a year or 2. And to fight it for as long as he did, it just shows tremendous courage. And he's got a great family. Calling hours are tomorrow from 5 to 7 and Wednesday morning from 10 to 11 with the memorial service being at 11 o'clock. And it's going to be across the street here at Life Point. So he was one of our teachers up until the point where he couldn't be anymore. And just saw him recently at a 7th grade basketball tournament game at Watkins Memorial. And he was in good spirits. And so I hope everyone, you know, will be at peace as they can be at peace. It is Music in Our Schools Month. It feels like we've had something along the lines of music almost every night the past 2 weeks, and they've been wonderful. Had some wonderful performances from band, from orchestra, from choir. We're continuing to have events happen at our elementary schools for their spring concerts. The one that came up in mind here with music is we had the 2025 Forum Show. Another, probably one of the best forum shows I've been to in a while. It was so well organized, and we just have some kids who are really gifted and talented in a lot of areas. And, you know, my granddaughter, I brought her last year, and she said, "When's that coming up again, Pops? I want to go with you again." So, I mean, I think it's really, really well received. This was a real treat this weekend, and so if anybody got a chance, and I know Dr. Bennett was there to watch the choral concert, and this group just did an amazing job as a finish to the night. and said they were going to OMEA large group contest. They scored a Superior 1 rating, and they have qualified for the OMEA state. And so if you heard them, you would certainly understand why they achieved such success. So we're really proud of them and the work that Trevor Garabrand has done with the choir. And it's so nice to see a larger section of male voices. It's hard to get gentlemen to sing, but when you combine all of those, it just makes for such a better thing. Some of you got a chance to go to the academic showcase on Thursday night. Second year that they really highlighted this. Talked to Darren about it a little bit, and he was excited. Over 900 people attended. And so they had food vendors outside. You pretty much walked the halls. They had 17 different tables where people could go and visit and find out things that are going on in the community. He also invited fifth graders, and they had a large contingent of fifth graders come just to get a feel for what's going on. So give them a lot of kudos for that work. Just an update, spring newsletter will be coming out probably here 1st of April. These are the kind of things you're going to see in it. Anywhere from, kind of our facility plan, kind of an update, to student safety, family STEAM night at East, heroes helping students at Columbia, safe place, smoother parking at Dan Emmett, and worthy wordsmiths, spotlight on the power of the pen team at Mount Vernon Middle School. So again, this isn't the cover. I just put that on as a placeholder. The cover is still yet to be determined, but the newsletter will be coming out. We'll get that out to close to 15,000 residents. Our Senior Citizen Spring Luncheon is also coming up in April. That'll be posted in the spring newsletter as well. But it's going to be on Tuesday, April 22nd. We usually have gone on Thursdays, but we're moving it to Tuesday because it's so busy. It'll be at Mount Vernon High School Gymnasium and Auditorium, and folks can RSVP for that. We are doing a facility master planning community update. So that'll be Wednesday, April 16th at 7 p.m. in the high school theater. We'll be sending out information to all parents of the district. It'll also be in the district newsletter. Again, just an opportunity to share the work that's kind of been done over the past 9 to 10 months. I am meeting with staff on Friday, and we're going to have a kind of a staff presentation and a little bit of a Q&A with the staff relative to where we're at with this facility master plan process. So I look to see a lot of folks on the 16th, and we'll continue to share information until such a time that the board, lays all that information in and we make a decision about next steps. Did want to make this, and it's second in your thing below, but we're doing an English language arts adoption over in the board office. We have the grade levels listed here. It's going to be K-5 McGraw-Hill Wonders. And Eric did a tremendous job of leading a pilot process that really took the first half of the year. We got every building had pilot teachers piloting this and another product. They met on numerous occasions. Really put together a really well-done rubric, shared it with the district leadership team, shared it with the Educational Advisory Committee, and really have landed on Wonders. I think we could have been fine with either one. They were both really good products. This one just kind of rose itself up. Traditionally, we like to make sure our community knows that we're doing an adoption, and so if anybody wants to come in and look at the material, they can do that. And as a reminder, spring break, no school, starts March 24th. So at the end of the week, the following week is our spring break, and classes will resume the following Monday on March 31st. So that's kind of the district update, and that's our story. Beautiful. I did put down here the ELA curriculum review grades K to 5, but I made a slide on that as well. Recommended items for board approval. This really probably was misplaced now that I look at it, but we usually have 2 readings of our board policies, And it feels like we just did this a month ago, but we do a fall and a spring, and in the fall, we got it late, and then we missed our December board meeting, so we ended up approving them, I think, in January. And then, of course, we get our spring update. And if you look at the overview, I think that'll really help you understand what, in a lot of cases, what small changes they made to certain sections. Others of them might just be new, but all of these are there for your review. And I know we've had some who have, if the community would like to look at these, we can make these available to them as well. So feel free to take a look at those, but we won't be approving those tonight. I'm trying to recall if I put this down in section 1. Now I'm second guessing myself. I know we're not doing these, but I feel like
Are we approving that one?
I feel like this one I have to approve because I have to have it done by March 31st. I'm going to take a quick peek. It's about intra-district and open enrollment. Well, here it says district after May 15th. Kathy or Eric, do you recall us having a conversation that this one needed to be approved by chance?
No.
Okay.
It does refer to April, placement between April 1st and May 15th.
Placement between April 1st and May 15th. So if I would just quickly go through this one, if we have to approve this just for the approval's sake, we did make some adjustments to the ratios and the number of students in each building. And we did try to keep our intra open enrollment district very similar. The other thing that's been added are attendance expectations. The state requires us to have a certain, we have to abide by a certain set of criteria. But in none of those criteria is there an attendance expectation, and we felt it was really important to add that. So if you open and enroll into the district, let's say from an outside district, but your attendance isn't very good, that ought to be a reason to say, this just isn't working. The state does have some criteria that you can't deny open enrollment with the exception of a certain set of reasons. We wanted this to be another reason that was locally adopted. And feel really important, whether it's intra or inter. I mean, if I want to go from, let's say Dan Emmett out to Twin Oak, we don't provide transportation for that. But if parents are having a hard time getting their kids to Twin Oak, it doesn't make sense for us. So we want to make sure that we're adding the attendance part in there, and the fact that if it does fall to a level that we have to actually file truancy charges, we could revoke open enrollment relative to that. So I guess for the sake of this particular policy, if the board would be willing to make an exception for number 2 here and approve that tonight so that we meet a statutory guideline, I think I would welcome that recommendation.
Certainly. Okay. I would entertain a motion then for the open enrollment guideline policy.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay. Will you call the roll?
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Gitzman?
Yes.
Yes for me.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay. Moving on to curriculum instruction. And Dr. Bennett.
I picked one, and then I noticed later that it had a video with it, so I don't really have to say very much other than it was pretty neat that these 3 students are now going for a patent of the robot that they designed. And if you want to just play it, it will pretty much explain it.
Imagine being on a vacation for a very long time. Now imagine saving money nightly.
So I have to wait till the end. Now I can skip it.
Ever wanted to stay on vacation longer?
Very innovative. And I learned something that if they don't have a robot to do it and the beekeepers have to constantly be opening it, that's hard on the bees. It's not good for them. And it also, of course, can the beekeepers are more likely to get stung.
Yeah, safer.
So this saves in both respects. So that was pretty neat.
Amazing what some of these young people do.
Yes.
More, isn't it?
Opportunities.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
We have 2 items for board approval in this section tonight. The first is the College Credit Plus partnership with Kenyon College. It's one that we do every year about this time. And it's just an agreement that we can continue to collaborate with students from Kenyon. We'll obviously have one with MVNU and others at different times, but this application is there. And we added that Ag Science student overnight trip. That's listed there with FFA advisor Stephanie Plumley. I will say, as we get ready to approve that, that's April 10th coming up here. It's just a one-day event. But the numbers in our FFA program have grown tremendously, and they just had a fabulous FFA banquet. Was able to I didn't get there for the dinner, but I was able to go for the banquet or the award ceremony, and they just really did a great job. And so it's nice to see those numbers really starting to improve. I think there were over 100 currently in FFA, and they were all donning their jackets and went through parliamentary procedure, and it was really a neat thing to see.
And I know she has started a middle school group as well, from my understanding, so that's a great, again, that middle school to high school. Those feeder programs are very important to keep those activities going, so that's wonderful that she's doing that as well. All right, I would entertain a motion for the CCP with Kenyon and the Ag Science overnight trip. Thank you, Mr. Ward. Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Any additional questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Yes for me.
Thank you. All right, moving on to fiscal services, and
Okay.
Peter, you're going to go through?
Yeah, I'll give you
those
just a
ideas?
really quick overview. There's not a lot necessarily to share. The traditional things that we share, this is kind of our bank investment of accounts and where we sit right now. The one we tend to spend a little bit more time on is right here. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit. There's a couple things to note. We're about 66% of our revenues at this point. We will note that if you look at your taxes here, we're still waiting on that round of taxes to kind of fill in here. So even though we're listed here, we're still at about 54 and 48%. But all other categories seem to be funneling in the right direction. The one area that you'll find down here under expenses, down under supplies and materials. So the cost of supplies and materials have continued to rise. They're becoming more expensive. The one piece that is put in here that sometimes we forget about is fuel. And so when you think about fuel and diesel and some of those things, you kind of combine all those together in some of the projects we've done. We're a little bit over. I mean, it's only $1,486, but it's 111% right now, and Judy really thinks that'll kind of come back into line. But when you look at expenses and revenues, they're pretty close, right around 70%. We're getting close to that three-quarter. Well, we're right now at 3/4 of the year, so I think all in all we're in pretty good shape. Your investments continue to fare well. Fiscal year to date 2025, you can see that there, and then again, those are spaced out in specific instances and general areas there. And then you have your checks and reconciliation if you want to look at the different categories. Judy would do a much better job of that than I did, but I tried my best. So Judy, she has to come back. So. Donations, we do have a number of donations, and we're really blessed with folks who donate to our students in our schools. Mary Crum to East Kindergarten, 40 bags with books coordinating stuffed animals. Dave Culbertson to East with gloves and hats. Knox Christian Men's Club, homemade hats to Pleasant. Linda Eshelman, coats to Dan Emmett. Kroger, $450 to the middle school. The Music Boosters is putting their donation of $47,000 over to the general fund so that we can help support high school band uniforms. They usually get band uniforms every 10 years. The board did. We did provide some general fund dollars to help them reach their goal, and so wanted to kind of let you know that we work collaboratively together. And the one thing I will say about our music folks, they are so appreciative of the board's support, and generally will share it every chance they get. And so we were able to kind of partner with them, about $15,000 out of PI money to kind of help get them to that final goal. And so you're going to see new band uniforms this fall.
That's great.
And then Scott B. Miller, school supplies, kind of to all schools. We do have a couple memorial books tonight as well, in memory of Rick Dinoff, to the Twin Oak Library Weird But True World 2025 National Geographic for Kids, in memory of P. Fred Ocker, to East Elementary, Number Mania, and in the memory of Dottie Ark, to Dan Emmett Library, All the Birds in the World. And so we certainly, it's a nice way to memory and put something in a library. I think it's great. So those items for your consideration.
I would entertain a motion for the fiscal items as presented. Thank you, Dr. Bennett. And second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Good tag team going on tonight.
Taking notes here.
I
could throw one.
Yeah,
You're doing a great job.
But you can, yes.
Thank you. Throw you a bone this next time.
That's right. Any additional questions, comments?
No, just appreciation for all the wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very
Yes,
nice.
I would second that. And would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Motion carried. Business services, no legislative liaison report tonight. We are missing you, Ms. Regoladai. And moving on to items for approval.
I will say, just as one additional item for information in this section, because it's legislative, superintendents in Knox County had an opportunity to meet with two of our representatives, Mark Heiner and
Beth Lear.
And we had a good conversation, and I think, I know sometimes that's a tough job, being a representative, and I know they've gone to several meetings, and quite frankly, it's not always, done in a very respectful way. We chose a different path. We certainly wanted to share our appreciation, number one, and we did, and we shared our challenges. But we were just able to have good civil dialogue. They were respectful. They listened to us. So we want to kind of keep that open line of communication. And, I think they have some concerns about the governor's budget and certain pieces of it. We shared with them, some of our challenges relative to, some of the proposals that are currently out there. And I think we'll hear back from both of them. And I think that line is a good communication line.
Thank you.
One of the biggest concerns is that they're basing their data on 2022 instead of it's just outdated.
Yeah, the inputs are challenging, and we did share that with them. The cost of inflation, there's no inflationary costs in the new data. Special education costs have continued to rise. That's not in the new data. Now, if you lost attendance between there and now, that could reflect a little bit differently. I think one of the things that we really, or that I tried to stress is that, we're grateful for all of the opportunities we've had. We realize that property taxes have risen, and, that's given us a little extra. And if that helps offset a little bit of what's going on, then I understand how that whole process works. What we can't take is a double whammy, and that whammy would be one of the things at the legislative level that is really Democrats, Republicans alike, it's about property tax relief.
Yes.
And so while we've been blessed to get a little bit more because of property taxes in Knox County, if they would somehow carve out and take that back, and we would get this $4 million cut from the governor's budget, that could be a real challenge for us. And I feel like they heard us talking about that and realize that, you know, one in the hand is the other one. I think it made some sense. So hopefully we'll see some things coming out of this cycle.
Thank you for having that conversation with
Yes,
them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a number of items in this section for board approval tonight. One is the owner-architect agreement for the gym floor replacement. Danny and Howie's been working with us in a couple different areas, and we actually didn't approve this one before. So they had to do all the bid work for the gym floor, and so they were working some other areas, so we had to make sure we stepped back and got that one approved retroactively. Number of facility use requests tonight. You're seeing soccer, you're seeing Boy Scouts, well, quite frankly, a lot of soccer. So I don't know that soccer ever has a season that's not a season anymore, but we do have St. Vincent de Paul and their track team, girls softball, the Dogwood Blossom Chorus. And you're also seeing two items down here in this section, Final Site in Power School. If I had to give you a quick synopsis of what that is, our current website, which we really, really like, that company is phasing out and going out of business. And so we find ourselves having to kind of adjust and shift. Part of that program is also the registration software program. And so we're looking at two programs that we feel like we're going to probably have to move to here in the future if we want to kind of maintain that good on-site online registration and a website that, you know, is a good communicating tool for the district. Those four items for your approval.
Right, I would entertain a motion for the business services.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Workman.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any additional questions or comments?
I do have a question, and I wrote Jess about it, the Dogwood Blossoms chorus. If you look at that, there's no charge for.
Yeah, we did look at it.
And I looked again today, and there's still no charge.
Yeah, so we created a workflow program through our tech department, and it's supposed to go from one entity to the next, and it's not supposed to pass one before the other approves it. They did check mark in the box that there is a charge for that particular organization. Somehow the workflow hasn't worked right, so rest assured there will be a charge for that.
Well, it's not that I want them to be charged, but I just didn't want us to approve it as nothing and then they get charged.
Yeah, I guess, and
So maybe with that change that.
We probably ought to make sure we note that there is a change. That's May 4th. I could pull that item and we could get it in there the right way for the April board meeting, and they just understand, they know what the charge is going to be. I'm surprised it wasn't changed, that link wasn't changed, because I thought just.
I checked today, so maybe it's been changed.
Let's just double check just to make sure.
Right now. So there you go.
So you can see how everything in here is already pre-populated, where before it felt like it was written in.
Yes.
They're trying to do some of that stuff, but apparently it's not working correctly, so.
I just didn't want there to be a mix-up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. So we can do it one of two ways. We can approve it realizing there will be a charge, or we can pull it and then do it in the April meeting and make sure it's right. Whatever the board's preference is.
Pull it.
Huh?
I would pull it.
Okay.
So there's just no confusion.
So then I think we'd have to have a motion to approve sections 1 through 4, pulling Dogwood Blossom Chorus until we get the right piece in there.
With change, yeah, okay. All right.
If you've never been to one of those shows, they're a lot of fun. So the Fun Center Chordsmen, I had teased Trevor that I would like to get into a little 4-man group just to do maybe even for one of our little thing, just for fun, nothing. I don't want to get serious about it, but I love seeing those guys just doing their thing. I mean, and the girls do a really good job too, so.
All right, so Mr. Workman, would you be willing to amend your motion with the change, pulling out the Dogwood Blossom course until April?
Yes.
Yes. And?
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will note that, and then would you call the roll?
Yes for me, the motion. Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. Moving on to student services.
No item for board approval tonight. One item for information. I've linked there the special education model policies and procedures. So ODU has just come out with a revised policy. You'll see it. You'll see it reflected in the policies that takes us 2 readings to do. So
Right.
I'm just kind of highlighting it here. So when you look at it in the board policies, they've extended that deadline, I believe, to the end of May. So we'll make an approval of this policy in our policies in April. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, we will move on to certificated licensed personnel.
Item 1 is really just items for information. There's some salary change notices. Item B, which are items for your consideration tonight. We have 2 retirements. We're getting a few more retirements this year than we've had in the past. Janet Jones and Kim Marth will be retiring. We have a couple resignations, Laura Gentis and Jessica McCoy. The addition of a few substitute teachers. Believe it or not, we're talking summer school already. And so we're looking at some summer school support staff, a supplemental track contract, and a volunteer for our trip abroad to Italy. So those items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion for the certificated personnel.
I'll be happy to make that.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Any additional questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Okay, motion carried. Okay, moving on to classified staff.
There's no items for information tonight, a number of items for board approval. First is for this year, some 1-year contracts for RBT aide at Pleasant Street, a 3 and 7/5-hour cook, a 7-hour cook at Dan Emmett. 1 2-year contract for Martha Rowe. Number of substitute employments. We do have 1 resignations, a 7-hour cook at Dan Emmett, and we have 1 retirement. Jenny Shively, Secretary East, is at the point where she's going to retire. So those items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion for classified staff.
So moved.
Thank you. Mr. Ward, sorry, I lost my place.
Okay.
And a second,
I'll
please.
second.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Any additional comments or? Just thank you to those that are retiring from our district. Thank you for your years of service, and you greatly appreciated all the time and energy. I know they have some very tenured staff there that we're losing.
Big shoes to fill.
Yes. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Motion carried. All right, at this time, we'll go into board member comments. And Mr. Workman, you've been working so hard tonight. I'll let you go first.
I feel like I earned it tonight.
Absolutely. Floor is yours.
No, you know, what a great start to the meeting with Wiggin Street kids. I'm so impressed every time, you know, school comes in, especially with those kiddos and what they're doing. Really appreciate that. And of course, Alex and Ashlyn. I've seen that video a few times, and it still gives you goosebumps watching it. And I was talking to them in the wrestling room, and that was the first time that Ashlyn had seen that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex, no, he said he's seen it about 15 times. It was just really neat, and what an accomplishment. You know, we go from 0 state wrestling champions to 2 in one weekend. So what dedication that they had. So, but and with all of the other activities going on with the spring concerts and so forth, very busy time of the year, but also exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will jump in next. Again, I just want to express my condolences to the Graham family. I know John was greatly appreciated when he was spent his time at the middle school, and so Godspeed with them that they get through this time. Big loss. I had the honor to go down, first time ever, to the wrestling tournament on Saturday, and wow, it was just, as I told Ashlyn and Alex, I said, I can't wait for next year. And I promise I'm not going to miss Sunday this year. Next year. I'll go both days. It was just electrifying just to see that many stands and the way it was well orchestrated, and I mean, to watch 10 wrestling matches going on, you kind of like, now I haven't figured out the program yet. So I may need a tutorial on the program, figure out when they're coming up and all of that, but it was just amazing, and all of our wrestlers represented us so well. The sportsmanship was just incredible, and the following down there was great. So it was just good to see, and thank you, Mr. Fry. Again, that middle school feeder program brings it all the way through, and so that's exciting. I know big things are yet to come from them and several other wrestlers. So, but good luck to all of our spring sports. They're getting ready to start, so that's exciting as well. And we had a great representation at the indoor track, so I'm sure that's just gonna carry over to outdoor. So. Exciting times at Mount Vernon. So, Dr. Bennett?
Well, I love our meetings when we start with the students, and just is the highlight of all of our meetings. And it gives the kids a great opportunity to have that opportunity to speak in front of adults and to really be reinforced for what they've learned. So that was great. And just to know that our schools are doing so many neat things and giving so many enrichment opportunities for our students. So, and those are experiences they'll never forget. They'll never have for the rest of their lives. So I'm just very proud of our kids and our teachers, and to see the quality of learning that's going on is just that's very close to my heart. So I'm very proud of our school district and all the support that we get from our community and our parents, and it all makes a difference. So thank you to everybody who's contributed.
And Mr. Ward.
Well, I want to echo, I usually don't go last, so, but echo what my colleagues have said too. You know, the wrestling tournament thing was a blast. I actually wanted to thank the long days and hours that the Jacket Journal kids and the leaders in that put into that. I mean, they actually broadcasted on Facebook Live, and it allowed me to watch the matches, which was fantastic. So a big thank you to them. You know, I know they're learning a lot, and they're, you know, preparing themselves as journalists and all of that, but at the same time, they were providing a community service. I think there were house parties that were watching some of these matches, and it was quite a community event, whether they knew it or not. Mm-hmm. So big thank you to them. The other thing, again, kind of in wrestling, you know, Mr. Sear had asked the kids about, you know, what's a word that comes to your mind, and I was thinking about that, and the word preparation really occurred to me, and it really made me want to thank the coaches. You know, the preparation that goes into, you know, kids don't just show up at the shot and win state championships. There's a lot of time and labor, and a lot of adults, and, you know, beyond the wrestlers, whether it's the swimming teams or whether it's the soccer teams, just all of the preparation that our adults put in, even in the classrooms. So a big thank you to the adults in our kids' lives for helping get them ready. So just wanted to recognize them.
Very good, very good.
And I guess I did forget one. I'd probably get in trouble if I didn't mention that the cheerleaders did place third at state. So they had a great representation as well. So I might get in trouble if I did.
Maybe a little.
Just a little. Anyhow.
Well, the only other thing I would say, again, I think it was a great meeting. Wednesday night, we will be heading to our little spring conference, and we have a board member being recognized at our spring conference. So congratulations, Mrs. Getzman. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week and a restful spring break.
Absolutely, yes.
And a safe spring break.
Safe spring break, there you go. At this time, we have a need to go into executive session for conducting and reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. And would you call the roll?
Dr. Bennett? Mr. Ward? Yes. Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Yes.
Executive session at 7:28.